Hi everyone, I'm Selina, an author, developmental writing coach, and one of the hosts of this podcast.
I'm Jarryd, an author, therapist, and the other host of our podcast.
And my name's Dianna. I am an entrepreneurial creative. I have a publishing company and a podcast myself.
And what are they called, Dianna?
My company is called Bushland Castle Productions, and my podcast is called Finding Alara.
Welcome. Welcome to A Sense of Wonder, the podcast.
It's where we mix together a bunch of ingredients to help motivate you and support you to stay mentally well while you're getting your creative on.
A Sense of Wonder is all about recapturing that sense of awe and magic that we all had as kids, but the act of adulting sometimes diminishes.
We are incredibly thrilled to have Dianna with us. Thanks so much, Dianna, for making time, particularly with the differences. You're over in WA, we're in New South Wales, so there's a bit of a time difference between us. So thanks so much for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. So we will get straight into the first segment, which is practicing gratitude. I am going to put Dianna straight on the spot, and I'm going to ask you first, what are you grateful for?
I am incredibly grateful to have an opportunity to talk to you guys on this podcast to start with. And I'm really grateful to have such a supportive family. They're always by my side whenever anything new comes along. How about you, Jarryd?
Well, first, flattery will get you everywhere, so thanks. And mine's very similar to yours. I'm very grateful for my mum. My mother moved in with me a number of years ago, and that was very difficult for the first couple of years. But over time, she's become my pit crew. I work intense job with crazy hours, and she moved in so I could look after her, and she actually does quite a fair bit of looking after me.
Yes, yeah. Mums are special people. Me. I am super grateful to have Dianna on the podcast. Thank you so much for saying yes and being a brave soul. And I'm going to do a shameless plug here for my own podcast, which is Weaving Words into Stories for Genre Fiction Writers. I just recently interviewed Danny Lyne, who is an author of romantic suspense, paranormal romance, and some horror. And it was just a lovely interview and something that was very nourishing. Super grateful for her time and interest. And of course, on the home front, just super grateful for my partner and best friend and my beautiful animal companions that keep me standing upright and continuing to move forward in my life. I couldn't do it without them. And you, of course, Jarryd, my bestie.
No.
I know. Anyway, segment 2, Jarryd.
Well, what is segment 2? Segment 2 is feeding or fouling. So, Selina, I'm not going to be cruel like you and put Dianna on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot. What has fed or fouled you this month?
Okay, so I'm going to say I have 2. One is a foul. I have overworked myself to the point of exhaustion, and I have really hit a wall and ended up having to have a conversation with a great psychologist to find more balance in my life, because I've just been feeling so overwhelmed. And what happens is I dissociate from everything. So we talked about doing focused time, like focused work time. And it's a bit like writing sprints where you put a timer on for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour. And then I make sure I have a 15-minute to 30-minute break. So I kind of fouled myself up, and it stopped me from doing my creativity. I couldn't do anything. I actually had to walk away for like 5 days and have a good rest from doing everything. And then, so after I spoke to her, I've only done it for a couple of days, so we'll see how my maintaining of it goes. Today has not been successful, but yesterday was. And the whole point of it is to build a positive feedback loop in giving me dopamine, to help me feel like I'm moving forward in a positive way rather than feeling like I'm working really hard and going nowhere. So there was that. And of course, my feast, whilst I've been having downtime, is Strange New Worlds Star Trek series. And I absolutely love Christopher Pike's hairstyle. He's got this great hair. And every time I watch it, it makes me feel very happy. But also they had an episode on a mystery where the female security character goes and solves it. And it's their first foray into having a holographic environment, and she's got to test out whether it works. Of course, everything goes wrong, but it was so fabulous and just really nourishing. I just was so engaged. I obviously love puzzles. That's me. So Jarryd, I'll ask you, and we'll put Dianna on the spot in a minute. What's your feeding or fouling?
All right. So This month I fed myself. So we've been doing a bit of work in what's called the Upper Murray or Alpine region of Victoria because of the bushfires. So working in recovery hubs and talking to people who've lost everything. It's pretty heavy work. So after finishing that day, it's like a 2-hour drive home over the border into New South Wales. I'll pull over on the side of the mighty Murray, find somewhere safe and pretty, and walk to the river, find a shady spot, sit down and do some breathing exercises just to kind of ground myself and make that little bit of a break so that I'm not taking all of the heavy stuff home and I'm not stewing on it overnight. You know, finding a shady spot and dangling your feet over the edge of a little cliff and just looking at the water and listening to the birds and feeling the breeze. It's just a really nice way to defrag and shake it off, I guess.
Yeah. I have to say, you're making me feel relaxed.
Good.
I much prefer the river than the beach.
Yeah,
Do
I'm not a
you?
beach person.
I think I prefer the beach. I'm a beach person. I don't really go near the river.
You've really moved to the wrong area, Selina.
I know. Well, if you would just stop moving around Australia, I wouldn't have to follow you, would I? Dianna, what this month have you fed your creativity with, or have you had any fouling? Fouling, fouling, as in it stopped you from being creative?
I've had a bit of both.
Mhm.
My podcast, Finding Alara, had its 100th episode come up fairly recently. So that was a pretty huge achievement. So for that episode, I was actually interviewed as the guest. So my sound girl, Izzy, actually interviewed me and she asked me the questions that I usually ask my guest. But obviously, it's normally 2 episodes for one guest. We just condensed it down into one. So that was really interesting. Fouling wise, obviously starting a publishing company, it is complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. And we're falling behind. So there's a few aspects that I have to make sure I focus a lot more time and energy on to really get them under control and get them back into shape. So my writing front, I have reached the end of my novella, which I'm really excited about. It didn't go the way I planned, but
Doesn't
it's
matter.
off to developmental editing now, which is one of those other things that was really behind. But I'm really glad that's moved to that next step. And yeah. I'll get my story out with everything else.
You will. And it's a good feeling to sort of close the chapter on that milestone and give it to the developmental editor. Although it's a little bit nerve-wracking too, because like, what are they going to come back with?
And the developmental editor that I'm using is the same one that you used for yours.
Developmental editing, you get an editorial letter back and it says what you've done well and the areas that need to be worked on to make the story work for the target audience in the genre. And some editors can be a little blunt, I would say, and overly direct without necessarily taking into account the feelings and the emotions of the person who wrote the manuscript. It can be scary to get that kind of feedback because you've given somebody something that you've spent a lot of time developing and putting all of your creative effort into, and when they come back and say, it's got to be a whole rewrite because it doesn't make sense, it's like, I'm just going to go and rock in the corner for a while. The editor is just doing their job. I just still think myself as a coach, it's important to think about the person and their emotions on the other side. Okay, segment 3.
Tools of the trade, where Selina, who is, funnily enough, a developmental editor as well as a writing coach, shares a little bit of wisdom from her time in the trenches supporting writers to write.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about book covers at the moment because I am not just as a coach, but as a writer, I'm going through a phase of getting my own self-publishing book cover put together. And I've gone through a lovely place called getcovers.com and they're very accommodating, very, very good. But you have to write a blurb that says what your story's about and what you want to see on the cover. And you have premium images that you need to pick from. And now what I've learned is that it's really important to do your research on what is popular in your chosen genre for your covers to make sure that your cover can compete, because it is your marketing tool. It is the first thing that a reader will look at and go, I want to think about looking at the blurb, and I like the blurb, it's hooking me, therefore I'm going to open the book and I'm going to read it inside, and if I like that, then I'll go and buy it. So there's a few hurdles between getting the reader into your story, because you might have the It's a fantastic story, but if your cover doesn't personify the genre or the feeling that they're looking for, they will go past it. That sounds very gobbledygook, I think, but what I'm trying to get at is my cover came back and it was a beautiful cover, but it looked nothing paranormal to me. The girl looked more like she was in a gardening centre and not somebody who works at a cafe, despite the fact that she had a bib on and all that sort of stuff. And I thought I need to go and do research. So I went to Amazon and have a look at it. And what I did is I took little images of the top 50 paranormal romance covers and I put them in line with my own cover, and then I had a look to see whether mine stood out, and actually mine just faded into the background because it just wasn't competing with what was already on there. So I had to go back and say it's got to change. And the point is, if you're going to get a cover, make sure you do your research on what is currently the trends and see if you can match that, because readers, that's what they look for. They look for like, even though your story might be slightly different. Does that make sense?
It does. And there's so many different levels behind the cover expectations, between the size of the title, the font that they use, the borders. Yeah, it's a science in and of itself.
It is. It is. It's a whole marketing area that as a writer, you're just busy learning or putting your writing skills into action and writing the best story you can, and hopefully with your target audience in mind as well, and not only meeting but hopefully exceeding your genre expectations. But when it comes to packaging that story, if you are going through self-publishing or you have some say in it with the publisher, it's important to make sure that that image can stand up to the rigors of a very fast-paced buying situation when it comes to marketing your book. So, yeah, that's my tip is do your research.
I'm going through a similar situation with our series at the moment. The series is Otherworldly Emergence, but speculative fiction. So there's horror stories, thriller stories, paranormal stories. We want the series to have a feeling as if it's all aligned, but we also want them to have the unique attributes required for each genre. So it's quite complicated.
Very complicated. Yeah, it is. I had to go back and I was like, what are the common elements of this particular genre of, say, paranormal romance with mystery elements or paranormal mystery with romantic elements? And they pretty much all had like blue covers. They had women that had glow around them. Some had skulls, some had graveyards, that sort of stuff, because they were all about psychics and witches and demons and all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, it conveyed something to me as a potential reader that was a promise it was making to me. And it really struck me how important it is for us to really get that right as best you can. And then if that doesn't work, eventually you can relaunch your book with a new cover if it's really not going to work. But yeah, my number one tip is do your research.
And a lot of romance authors and paranormal romance authors have on standard 2 covers, one with a picture and one with just the words, because some people don't like to see faces and pictures of people on the covers anymore. They just want the words. So a lot of the paranormal romance authors are coming out with just 2 standard covers.
Hey, that's interesting. I didn't really know that. I think so I've got a friend who was doing something similar. They got one type of cover for the ebook and and a different kind of cover for their print book, so that it speaks to different markets. Yeah, very interesting, isn't it? What tips do you have for writers, Dianna?
One of my biggest tips for writers at the moment would be perseverance. The way to it is through it, as Elizabeth Chapman said in my podcast. You know that it's not all roses the whole way through. There are bits that are a lot harder to overcome than others, and knowing that there is a light at the other end of the tunnel. You've got to walk all the way through. That's my main tip.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Perseverance is really important. I mean, I've worked with a few writers. I think that sometimes, and myself, I know, not just other writers, but myself, it is hard. There are times where it's like, what am I trying to write? This is not working and I want to walk away from it. But you know that if you just keep coming back, it'll eventually make itself.
And once you get all the way through and you actually write the end, you're so proud of yourself. It's all worth it in the end.
It is. It is. And I think that the stories start to mature over time as they get rewritten as well. So once you start finding those challenges, those wobbly parts of the story, you can actually be more empowered to fix that. And then you do have a story out there.
And
That's
there's
what
plenty
I'm
of
aiming.
tools as well that can help you with
Mm,
perseverance and getting through it, like seeing a book coach, for example, having
mm,
someone to just back and forth with those ideas, having
yes,
beta readers or sensitivity readers if there's sections of your story that you feel need extra attention.
yes. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. I have to say the beta reading has been very good for me because it's helped me to develop a stronger story, because when people come to your story and they don't know anything about it, they're reacting to only what is on the page. But they're also bringing probably their own perceptions of that particular genre as well. Yeah, it's very valuable. All right, I'm going to introduce segment 4, My Mind Matters. Jarryd, what is your mental health tip for this month?
Okay, well, in honor of our guest, whose podcast I do listen to, and who I know has a particular focus on mindfulness, which is one of my areas of speciality, I thought I'd talk about mindfulness, but in particular, a part of mindfulness that people don't necessarily understand. So a lot of people think that mindfulness is sitting down and doing some meditation, which is certainly part of it. And a lot of people know that it's about focusing on the now and being in the moment. But there's another aspect of mindfulness called active mindfulness. A lot of people actually find it very difficult to slow down their mind and to focus on a particular thing without all of the distractions coming at them. The tip is well, not the tip for today, but the tip for that is that's actually okay. If you're meditating and your mind is actually throwing all of these different thoughts backward and forward, that's fine. You don't have to empty your head. You just have to be still and you just have to let your brain do whatever it does. And if you grab onto something, it's all right. You can pull it apart if you need to, or you can try and swat it aside. It doesn't matter. You don't have to achieve this Zen Buddhist-like moment of perfect peace and clarity and thoughtlessness, like no thoughts in your mind. So for those of us who struggle, and I certainly do struggle with meditation, active mindfulness is the way to go. And it's about narrowing your focus and forcing yourself to be present, because if you're not present, something's going to happen. So Tai Chi is an example of active mindfulness. It's meditation, but it's based around movement. And you have to focus on each movement to get the benefit from it. And yoga is very similar. But active mindfulness can also be something as simple as chopping wood. Selina and I live in a small country town. I don't have internal heating or cooling, so we have to chop wood. If I don't focus on chopping wood, I'm going to have an axe in the side of my leg. So I find chopping wood to be a very meditative process for me, because I'm in the moment, I'm focusing on the wood and the blade and making the meat and splitting the wood and moving forward. Mowing the lawn also is something that I do if I've had a really bad week and my brain is all over the place. Nothing bad's going to happen if I don't focus too hard on mowing the lawn, other than it'll look pretty shoddy. But, you get in a zone and you're moving, you're active, you're focused, you're trying to achieve a particular goal. So active mindfulness is a way to help yourself get a little bit of mental rest, encouraging yourself to be in a particular moment and not necessarily needing to sit still. And I'm quite an active person. Sitting still is difficult for me. So actually moving and focusing on something really, really works. Chopping wood and Tai Chi are my two favorites. I love yoga, but I've got terrible balance. And Tai Chi seems to, be the nice medium for me. But if you do struggle with mindfulness and if you do struggle with things like meditation, then do something active. Even fishing can be active mindfulness. And there are 7 different stages of rest. You don't have to sleep to actually find your center and find your core and be embraced by a sense of peace. There are multiple different ways that the body can actually get downtime and nourish itself and heal. Sleep is the absolute best. Amazing things happen in the human body and particularly in the brain when we're asleep. But some people also struggle with getting 6 to 8 hours every night. So there are other ways to rest the body, and maybe we'll focus on that in a future episode.
it's like a mastermind.
Yeah. Yeah,
Beg
it
your
is.
pardon?
I said it's like a mastermind listening to you.
Thanks.
I think for me, it's doing the dishes, like something that is you're paying a little bit of attention to, but you can still do it on automatic.
Yes. Yeah, ironing. I know a lot of people hate ironing. I love ironing. I enjoy it because it's quite, I get lost in it and I focus, or I'm going to burn an expensive shirt.
I don't buy clothes. I have to iron.
I think we've come out, folks.
Never do. I hate it. I'm pretty sure the iron was invented by some torture person that just wanted to harm people.
I actually introduced a friend of mine and Selina's to the gym this morning. Work weightlifting is a form of mindfulness as well. It exhausts the body. You have to focus on the movement. Otherwise, you don't get the benefit out of going to the gym. And she loved it. And she said it was the best that she has felt in many years, just exercising her body, listening to music, having a laugh with me because we were the only two people in the gym. She found it really relaxing, despite the fact she walked out of there bloody exhausted.
Awesome. Well, I think that for me, cross stitch is very much mindfulness, because if I don't watch where that needle goes, one, I bugger up the stitch, and two, I end up with it in my fingers. So it makes me very, very conscious of being totally present. Okay, so time for a chat. I am so excited to pepper you with questions, Dianna. Are you ready?
Go for it. Let's do this.
Right.
So
Okay.
before you dive in, Selina, I'll just remind our listeners and our viewers that normally we have a couple of segments that we do when it's just Selina and I. So we don't do the genre stuff and we don't do a couple of other things when we have a guest on, because we'd rather just focus on the guest and on the wisdom that they have to share with us. So yeah,
absolutely. So Jarryd, do you want to ask a question and I'll ask a question, that sort of thing?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Alrighty. So I've been fascinated by you, Dianna, ever since Selina told me about you, and she's raved about you. Like, you've got a fangirl in this woman. And for me, it's really exciting. Like, I've been really keen to actually see you face to face, because I just want to know what inspired you to create a publishing company, specifically one for niche voices. It's a huge thing. Like, this is not a tiny, small little hobby. This is actually a pretty impressive, big thing. What led you there?
Well, thank you. And thank you, Selina, for being such a fangirl. I'll take it.
You're welcome.
I am a huge fan of self-publishing and independent publishing. What has changed since I first started looking to it in around 2018 and now is just, it's a different world. I was thinking to myself in late 2024, what is the point of actually going to a traditional publisher? I had in my mind, if you go to a traditional publisher, it would be this amazing author support network where you have the publisher themselves, you have the editors, and you're walking into the embrace of an established company that will help you go that next level. I was knocked back down to reality, and that's only in the movies, unfortunately. And I listened to a lot of podcasts in regards to what publishing deals are really like now, the realistic level of expectations you have from a publisher. So I thought, I want to publish books in a series, so we're all working together in a collaborative process and provide the author support that I would have expected in my dream publisher deal. So we provide book editors, book coaches, book cover designers, and I want the authors to be a part of the entire process the whole way along. I wanted to just ensure that if it's a brand new author, they have everything they need to feel like they're cherished, because they are. All 12 of my squires are cherished. And I wanted to make sure that if they have other books that they're looking into writing and developing, that this is a platform for them. They can expand their development and growth in indie publishing or whatever direction they want to go in. And it will all come back in the end to the series that they started with. And
so squire, that's a really interesting term. Like, that conjures up images of medieval knights and things like that. Do you want to kind of unpack that for us?
Okay, so the company is called Bushland Castle Productions. So we have the Bushland Pages. That's just a free community that we have available for people, and that has accountability meetings, mindset meetings, write-in sessions 4 days a week, and monthly theme mindfulness meetings. So it's just a free community that we've developed and we're growing slowly. The authors that have actually been accepted as published by us, we called them Bushland Squires, because I wanted to have something castle themed, and I just networked it and that seemed to stick. We also have the Bushland Quills. So the Bushland Quills is pretty much the executive team. It's all of the editors, the book coaches and all that jazz in a separate platform. So if we want to talk about something that's happening in the series or we'd be interested in happening with the series, that's that platform that we can talk to. And Wix is really good because it's sort of like a 90s style Facebook. It's just really simple. You just go in there, you post something, people respond. There's no pictures or videos or GIFs or anything. It's just really, really basic.
Okay. So Wix is like a messenger service or something, or a...
Wix is a website platform. So that's our base platform for our website.
Cool.
I was going to say, what drew you to the castles?
I just really have always loved castles. My dream holiday destination is Scotland, which is odd because I had fast fire questions thrown at me at my last interview and I said France, but that had nothing to do with what I actually wanted. We were talking about Pepe Le Pew, you know, the cartoon.
Yes,
and
we know.
It turns out there's no skunks in France. So where did Pepe Le Pew come from? We were talking about that before the interview. And so when she said, where do you want to go? That's what popped up.
You went, oh, la la.
Anyway, so did you watch the movie, The Castle? It's an Australian movie that came out in the 90s.
I have been tortured with that movie, yes. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but the concept behind it is that the castle is your home and it's very Australian. Bushland is obviously Australian bush. It's not a forest, especially over in WA. There is more forest over in Victoria, though. We got some very lush green, beautiful forests. So I wanted bushland and then I wanted the castle because I wanted to make it feel like it's a home environment. It's welcoming. We let people in and we support and encourage their growth and development.
Thinking about traditional publishing and that sort of stuff, there are actually just publishers. Let's just put it out there because there are a lot of morally grey publishers around. There's a lot of vanity presses and stuff like that. So if somebody was wanting to work with you as Bushland Castle Productions, how might you assuage their fears that you really are a traditional publisher?
Well, we actually have the Australian Publishers Association. And to be registered with the Australian Publishers Association, you have to go through all of these checks. So first, I would say make sure you look on there, make sure the publishers are actually on there, which we are as a company. And just, I think it's important to be open and transparent with people who come asking questions. If there is something in particular that they're worried about, they can just ask and I'm happy to answer.
Dianna, if authors are looking for support to write their stories or their memoirs or whatever it might be, what resources and what sort of community support does Bushland Castle Productions offer outside of publishing contracts for novellas and low to medium content books?
So if someone comes to us saying that they've got a story, they submit their submission. It's up to 300 word synopsis of what they're thinking of writing. And normally we have a face-to-face interview. We provide them with write-ins. Each of the fiction authors have 5 sessions with a book coach. One of them is Selina. We have the accountability meetings and the mindset meetings, and they can email us or call us or contact us at any point throughout the process. So we're available to them to help them grow and develop.
And it is a very supportive group. Dianna is always there. I can say from both being the coach and I'm one of the writers as well in this particular novella series, and it has been incredibly supportive. There's a lot of support that you get as a writer, and she's supporting writers to really grow into their best selves, I think.
My plan is not to just help the writers with just that story. I want to help elevate the writers themselves so they can take this knowledge and move forward with it later. We try and have masterminds on a monthly basis. That is a focus that we're currently working on in the series. That's something I currently do for the Squires, but I will be putting that in pages in the future. So next month, we've got a meeting with a launch specialist, someone who actually you hire to do book launches. So they're going to come in and talk to the team about how to do a successful book launch. Because although we'll be using what they learned for the Otherworldly Emergence series, there might be something that the Squires can take from that for their own personal development going forward.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
I think that's really great because whatever successes everyone has, I think it will come back to that novella series as well, and that reflects beautifully on Bushland Castle Productions. So I keep falling over myself.
It's a big name.
It is a big name. So are there any like classes on the horizon? Because you talked about pages. Maybe you should talk about what pages is so people who are not familiar with it can understand. And then if you've got any classes on the horizon.
So I'm looking at launching a course called Page One, and it's just to do with bare basics, accountability, and getting that first story, getting that first draft on the page. But unfortunately, I came to realize that I'm only one person. And you know how you were talking about burnout earlier? I don't want that to happen to me. So I put it on the burner for right now, but eventually I'll get it out.
Yeah. And like, I think the important thing is to remember that you have a commitment to this one thing, but you only have so much time and energy for everything that's on your plate. And we're more than just our jobs, or we're more than just our writing projects. We've got people and animals and lives to live and all that sort of stuff. So I think there's nothing wrong with putting something and saying this is future Dianna's issue to deal with or course to create, not right now. I've become a real fan of saying that myself.
You've got to be kind to yourself when you're a creative.
I totally agree.
And I'm in the process of transitioning from a mum of two left living at home to them moving away. So I'm turning into an empty nester, which is a very scary phase for a parent. And me and Joel is my husband, we've been talking about it a lot, about, what do we do now? What are our priorities? What are our focuses other than work? So that's a bit of a transition period. And I'm only, I'm not old. I didn't think I'd be in this position just yet. You like having your babies home, give them a bit of a cuddle every now and then, and they're going all the way to the city, 5 hours away.
Well, my mum was like, why do you have to move to Melbourne? I grew up in Canberra. She's like, can't you move to Sydney? It's closer. It's like, nah, my friends are in Melbourne. My poor mum.
It's not closer, is it?
It was, yeah. Sydney's much closer to Canberra than Melbourne. Melbourne's about an 8-hour drive, or it was back in the day. Jarryd, your turn.
Alrighty. So I kind of touched on this before. So your podcast, Finding Alara, which I love, I left a review on it a little while ago because one of the things I really love about it is it's such a gentle, I find it really relaxing. It is one of my mental health strategies as well. Like I've got a few podcasts and I kind of rank them as in, do I want to be motivated and riled up? And, if I'm going in to advocate for a client, there's a couple of things I'll listen to that kind of get me revved. And then there's podcasts that just kind of help me defrag. And yours is one of them because it's beautiful. Like it's such a nourishing, nurturing podcast. And it obviously focuses in part on something I'm passionate about, which is mindfulness. And another thing which I truly love, which is world building. And each episode, you try and kind of squeeze these things in there. So how did you come up with the podcast and how have the themes influenced your own writing and the content that you create for Bushland Castle Productions?
That's a really big question. Really good question.
You're welcome.
Yes. So a lot of creatives that I've spoken to over the years don't actually consider what they do as mindfulness strategies, if you know what I mean. So I wanted to see how writers stayed sane while they were doing their creative works, because I find when I'm highly passionate about a project, everything goes to the wayside. Like if I can just deep dive into something, the whole world falls away, which is probably not a healthy way to do it. My mum is a life translator. She does readings and numerology and all that woo-woo stuff.
We love woo-woo, by the way. You're in good company. We love woo-woo. It's all good.
I know. I actually got out my Russian gypsy fortune-telling cards the other day.
Cool. Love it.
I normally like to do them at the start of the year, but I haven't done them yet. So I'll put them aside for me to do it at some point.
You should, yes.
Yeah, I will. When I have a kitchen table again. So having that upbringing with meditation and workshops that support and encourage self-development and growth, I think is really what inspired me to do the mindfulness segments. But I realized when you're actually creating something, it's like two sides of a coin. When you're world building and developing, if you're doing the mindfulness, sometimes it can get in the way a little bit, and sometimes it can support it. So I wanted to talk to other creatives, other writers. I've got a film producer coming up for season 3. I wanted to talk to them how they find that balance and work their way through it. And I'm really passionate at the moment. And in season 3, I've done a lot more of it. I'm really enjoying the LARP aspect. I get one of their characters to come in and they have an interaction with them. I just think it's so much fun. And everyone does it so different. So
Is that
So
the one
you
like you
mean
got
live
me?
action role playing? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
I don't know what LARP is. What's LARP?
Live action role playing. I used to do normal table, like Dungeons and Dragons role playing. So I've heard of LARP. I've never done LARP, but I realized it might be a term people aren't particularly familiar with. And Selina proved that point.
No idea.
well, that's a good pickup. So I get one of their characters of their current project, and then they come in and they have a live interaction with that character. They have to play both parts. And
Oh, okay.
I just
I'm
find it
glad
so
that's,
entertaining. It's like my
she
favourite
made
bit of season 3. I
she
didn't do it
made
with yours.
me. No, but you made me think of my character and go, what would she see and say? I was like, this is my first ever podcast interview. I have no idea. All right, I'll do it. I'm with it. I can do this.
What is fun? What will I enjoy? That's what I will do.
Love it. Love it. So, of course, do you have any tips for brand new podcasters trying to build an audience, just asking for a friend of A Sense of Wonder and a couple other podcasts?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Bring your episodes out on a consistent manner. Break your show up into series if you can. I find that it's better for your mental health to have a series and then have an actual break than have just continuous episodes and then just stop sharing the episodes because your listeners don't know what's going on. Whereas if they know, hey, that's a break between seasons, it's like, okay, I'll just wait till the next season comes back.
Yeah. I think,
Make sure that your recording software is good enough quality that you don't get too much static. Make sure you edit it properly. It's a lot of moving parts in a podcast.
I try to edit it properly. We're a work in progress, aren't we, Jarryd?
I think every human on the face of this planet doing anything at all is a constant work in progress. But yes, we definitely are.
So you're a professionally trained publisher. How has that shaped your approach to publishing and supporting authors?
I think doing the publishing training taught me how wrong I was with my expectation about what a publisher should do.
Right.
So that's shaped my vision because I thought that's the way they do it. I'm going to do it my way. And this is what, from a writer's perspective, what my expectations are. And this is what I want to provide to all the squires as they come into the company. So I think, doing the training actually helped me learn what not to do.
That's very interesting. I feel like that's a bit cryptic. Like, what is it that you learned specifically not to do? Got one or two things you could share?
Compartmentalize. I'm not very good at that. You're meant to it's meant to be you're the publisher, that's the writer. Whereas I sort of merge it all together and you become friends. It's not all about the money for me. I mean, yes, I really do want this series to succeed, but it's about building community.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. I didn't actually know there were courses for publishing, so definitely do learn something new every day. As an author and as a podcaster, we're obviously really interested in what gives you a sense of wonder yourself. Are there any particular practices or little rituals that you use that inspire your creativity?
I've been cycling lately. So what I've been trying to get into the habit of doing, and I haven't been successful every day, is I go for a bike ride before I sit down at my desk. So I go for my bike ride and then I get changed into my lovely work attire, and having that separation between home life and working life. Without the bike ride, my days are much slower. It takes a lot longer to click into what I want to do. So that's definitely something that I've started to work towards. And I have a pretty stringent schedule Monday to Friday. The time I can be working on my podcast, the time I can be working on my writing. Because if I don't, then I just doom scroll a little bit.
Yeah.
Distraction's a real thing. I've been watching a lot of TikToks about stepping away from TikTok. And I'm like,
I love how we use social media to tell us not to be engaged on social media.
I've seen the same thing on Instagram. Stop using Instagram. Stop looking at Instagram. So
Yeah. Stop
I actually only
scrolling.
just noticed you've got a little castle
I do.
bit
Yes,
on you. Yeah, so it's
What's
when you
my
said it
logo?
with the uniform.
So for people who will be on the audio, Dianna has an embroidery on her shirt with the castle, it's green, the castle logo, and Bushland Castle Productions written on it. So, and it's very cute. and adorable. And when I got my sticker, I put it in my journal. So I was like, I love stickers. One of my favorite things is stickers at the moment. Washi tape and stickers. Going
That was
through
on
my
your
second childhood.
that was on your coin, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Dianna, I'm actually going to be a little pushy here. So what you've done is describe a physical activity that helps to kind of get you going, get you ready and settled for the day and focused in. My sense of wonder-wise, like for Selina and I, we've talked a little bit about this, and it's kind of trying to recapture some of that magic that we had as children or teenagers. Selina and I met when we were both young adults in our 20s, and we still had this, I can conquer the world, I can do anything, everything's exciting, everything is new. We kind of had that vibe. And both of us, in our own different ways, have been trying to get back to that. And it's just, for us, it's been as simple as rereading a book that we might have read as kids, lying on the lawn in the backyard in the middle of the night, staring at the stars, listening to music. Like, is there any particular thing that kind of reminds you that, yes, you might be at a particular age and stage in your life now, but that inner child is still alive and you're still connected to her and you're still able to be inspired by her? Is there anything that you do that kind of speaks to that?
So behind me, you'll see a Pegasus. I got that when I was 12. And this office itself is filled with trinkets and little things that I'm passionate about or I'm interested in. So I have a quill that my daughter bought me just because I find it
That's
really
cute.
fascinating and interesting. I have things that we've created on the 3D printer. I surround myself with things that I know are going to inspire me on a daily basis.
That's the good stuff. That's the stuff that we love. I think last episode, Selena and I popped up little action figures that we had on our
Yeah, I
deck.
still have mine here. Wonder Woman.
Yeah, we've
I love
always
Wonder
got one
Woman.
here.
I have my coin here.
Oh, you have your
This-
coin?
Here's my coin.
Yes.
Little figures.
I
can have.
made these last year for my guests and supporters of the podcast, and I just love it. It just makes me so happy. I just look at it and I spin it and I'm like, oh my God, I did that. It's pretty cool.
That's great. I got my
Diana, thank you. Because, a lot of, your little dragon, Selena. I
My
love that
dragon.
dragon.
That is
So
very
cute.
nice. Shiny.
Shiny.
On Instagram, I'm not on TikTok. On Instagram, you see all these wonderful, beautiful posts that people are doing lately that shows their writing space, and it's immaculate. It's so pristine, it's so controlled. And I look at my writing space and it's like a teenage or a child's bomb went off. And there's just toys and posters and stickers and all this stuff. And Selena and I had a conversation about it once, and I said, I've never grown up. But we decided that was a good thing. So thank you so much for sharing that you've got a little bit of that in you as well.
Mhm.
I think you gotta have some fun and find the joy again. Like when you did the podcast with me, Diana, you talked about Buffy night. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I do
I
love Buffy.
night. Yes.
Buffy.
At the moment, we're up to season 15, episode 12 of Supernatural for Buffy night. So it's not necessarily Buffy that we're watching, but because there's a new series of Buffy coming out, that's so cute. We're looking at
Tara. Yay.
going back to season 1 of Buffy, and we might do that again. We've watched it about 5 times throughout Buffy night, but we'll do it again.
So who is your favorite Buffy lover? That's what I want to know.
Buffy.
Was it Angel? Yeah. Was it Angel? Was it Spike? Or was it Riley? Is it Riley? 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 Yeah.
See, that's such a complicated question because they were all important to Buffy in different ways.
I know.
And she had to let Riley go. Riley was not right for her.
Oh, yeah, but geez, it was a sad episode, wasn't it? In the helicopter, I'm here. He's gone.
I had the least popular, I loved Riley. Riley was my favorite partner for Buffy because I felt that there was some really incredible arcs for her as a character as she grew. I loved Spike. I couldn't stand Angel. Sorry, David Boreanaz. I did not like Angel. Spike was fun, but it just wasn't right. I loved Riley, and I know most people can't stand Riley, but I really enjoyed that relationship.
Same Riley. Have I got it right?
It is Riley, yeah.
Yeah. I thought he was cute as. I thought he was great. I loved him.
It's the hair, isn't it? It was the hair.
I don't know. But one of the scariest episodes was Hush for me, where
I love
they
Hush.
stole
It's my
their their voices. And I love that. So this is my childlike stuff coming out. I used to do Wing Chun Kung Fu in Melbourne, and the girls and I would have to spar. So, of course, we would all be Buffy.
My
What no one
favourite
wanted you to
is
say?
Once More with Feeling.
Yes, the songs. Oh, my God.
I have it on Spotify and I listen to it regularly.
I've got it on Apple Music and I listen to it regularly as well.
Especially...
We've totally derailed it, but I have to ask, are you excited about the new Buffy that Sarah Michelle Gellar is a part of?
I am nervous but excited. I'll totally watch it. You know how they put out the new Matrix movie like the year before last?
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it because I don't want it to ruin the Matrix for me. So I'm just so nervous and I just don't want to watch it. But with Buffy, it'll be the same sort of thing. Like I'll be so nervous, but I'll have to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I so enjoy these reminiscences of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I once did a character course on Skillshare and I talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Bridget Jones as great characters. That sort of like coming of age, younger people going into relationships and stuff. I got feedback from some of the very young people. I don't even know who these characters are. And I was like, oh, wow, icons of my era. I couldn't cope with it. I couldn't cope with that feedback. I could cope with everything else, but you don't know who those are. I felt very old at that point.
I haven't been able to convince my girls to watch Buffy, which is such a shame.
They are missing out.
Yeah. But they've watched, The Vampire Diaries with me and all of the series that came off of that, the originals and legacies, and they watched all of Once Upon a Time with me. But
I like that
the
one.
actual filmography of Buffy when it came out was very 90s. So I think that's what turns them off. They're just not used to that.
Yeah, and look, the special effect, I wish they'd do with Buffy what they did with the old original 1960s Star Trek. They went back and they updated all of the special effects. Because the special effects in the first few seasons of Buffy, they are so average these days. Yeah. But the stories
are remastered.
That's right, but exactly. I'm going to try and get us back on track.
When she jumped into the void at the end of season 5, that was amazing. The way they did that back then, it blew my mind. And you watch it now and you're like, they could have done this, they could have done that. I'm like, okay.
I know, it's because technology has grown so fast. We can see things that we couldn't see before. I find that really fascinating. Yeah. Well, I don't think we've gotten off track really, Jarryd. I think this is really part of the magic of a sense of wonder, isn't it? I mean, it's finding that connection with each other of our childlike connections. I mean, one of the reasons I started writing was because of Star Trek and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was inspired by the shows. I really loved the female character who had a life that was in our world, but there was another world. And of course, Star Trek. Come on. I remember saying to you, Jarryd, I want to write a Star Trek book one day. And you said, oh, sorry, you need to learn to write. And I was like, I do, don't I?
And then you went and learned how to write.
I did. I went and learned how to write, but now I don't want to write Star Trek and I'll write my own stuff. But it's still an inspiration.
I would love to write Star Trek because I am a huge Trekkie fan.
It's great. Anyway, sorry, totally fanning out now.
No, it kind of connects into the next question.
It's a sense of wonder.
Yeah. It connects into the next question I wanted to ask Dianna, and that is, what's your favourite genre to write in and why?
Fantasy. Like many, I used to read a lot when I was little, and then I didn't read a lot in the start of high school. And then I got back into reading after a bit. And one of the first books I got into as an adult fiction was the Artifacts of Power series by Maggie Furia. And the way she crafted that book, it's an epic fantasy. There's 4 books in the series and they're like really thick. But I was glued to that book for like a month. I could not put them down and I just loved them so much. And I really want readers to get my stories and not want to put them down till the end. So it's so immersive. Fantasy is so immersive. I love that. I like sci-fi to watch, but I struggle to read sci-fi. Like I like Star Trek, but I struggle to actually read sci-fi books because there's so much technical terminology that's hard to get your head around. But when there's magic involved, it's magic. It's understandable.
I'm right there.
I can accept that.
Yes, I'm definitely there with the magic over the science fiction for writing, like reading books. Actually, when I was at Conflux last year, I bought a trilogy of sci-fis, and my housemates read them. He could not put them down. They were fantastic as far as he was concerned. He's just like totally sucked in. But I bought them and went, well, it's really not my genre. I don't know. I'll take a chance. And I'm still working my way up to reading them because it's just not my genre.
I just read a sci-fi
Have you?
because one of the squires is doing a sci-fi-ish book. So I read that, but that's one of the things I like about these series is they're all novellas. They're only up between 30 and 45,000 words. So I can sit down and read it and it's not at a 120-page commitment. It's just a nice little snippet of that genre. So I read that book and that was sci-fi. And I read another one and that's April's book. I'm not sure what that is going to be, what genre it's going to fall into, but I needed tissues halfway through the book for the rest of the book.
Oh, so this is one of the writers of the Novella group. She's written a fabulous book that is a bit of a heart-wrencher, and it's a cross between magical realism to me and fairy tales. So there's magic, and it's sort of a bit contemporary as well, so that it could fit in several different genres, but it does cross over to fairy tale stuff.
So it could be paranormal as well. Yeah.
Although in the day-to-day stuff, it's not so much paranormal, but that comes in towards the end of it. So it's going to be good. And I think it is a tearjerker. Can't give away too much, but read it when it comes out.
I'll be grabbing a copy of the series, that's for sure. We were going to ask you what you were reading now, but you've kind of covered off on that, unless there is
I've got Lucky Man.
What is that one?
Michael J. Fox. So I've just bought this the other day. So I've just started. I'm not too far into it, but I really like memoirs. Sometimes I get into the mood where I read a whole bunch of memoirs and then I go back to reading, fantasies. But I just started reading this, and Parkinson's just seems to be everywhere lately. When I was at the Indie Author Book Fair in November, there was this doctor who wrote a book about Parkinson's disease that he was going through as well, and I don't know, maybe it's my confirmation bias. It just keeps popping up everywhere lately. So I thought this is what I need to read right now. So I'm going to read it.
There's a great show on Apple TV called Shrinking.
Shrinking? Yeah.
Yes.
And that's got Michael J. Fox in it too.
Yeah. So you're right. Actually, there is a lot more out there. I think, is it Shake It Up have been popping up on social media. They're researching, I think it's Parkinson's. It might be MND. I'm not too sure. But there's certainly a growing focus on these neurological disorders, which is great because they didn't get much time or space for a lot of years.
So I think it'll be interesting. We'll have to see how it goes. From being a child star to being someone who was struggling to get out of bed.
Yeah. I loved Michael J. Fox. Miss him in the movies. He was also in Boston Legal, which was, I think, one of my favourite shows recently. Sorry, I just want to ask at the same time, just going to move to Jarryd real quickly. Are you reading anything specific right now?
Actually, yes, because I'm doing prep work for one of our upcoming interviews. I'm reading, I'm going to forget the name of it, Selina, Jimmer. It's Aaron Dry's.
So Aaron Dry's Dirty Heads. It's a horror.
Yes, that's the one. It's not the most, you can't see on the phone because I'm reading it on Kindle. But yeah, that's what I'm reading at the moment. And I've got to say his prose is beautiful. There's some descriptive stuff, the way that he describes certain scenes as the character enters different locales. It's beautiful, but I find it's a heavy book and it's quite despairing. But in a way, I love that because it's an evocative emotion that I don't usually get. Like, I don't really read. I love horror. This is a very different sort of horror to what I'm usually reading. So I'm enjoying the discomfort, and the book makes me feel very uncomfortable. It's good. And I love the way he brings words together, but it's not a book that you put down and you feel happy. It's quite a despairing book.
I was reading it before bed and I decided I would read it in the daylight. I just was going to say what I'm reading is How to Kill a Guy in 10 Dates, and it's a mashup between a rom-com and a slasher book. And It's great, light and funny, and there is slasher stuff happening in this speed dating environment, and they can't get out, and they don't know who the killer is. So it's quite fun. It's pretty
Oh my
new
God, I've got
out.
to buy that. That is my bag.
Yeah, and it's got all of these references to romantic comedies and all these slasher films, and she's got the 10 rules of surviving a slasher movie. Yeah, a slasher, and she's the one that's actually helping to guide them through this. Yeah, it's really good. I can't go into any more detail because I'll give spoilers and people won't like me.
Who was the
Will
author?
you text over the name of that book to me?
Look, I don't know. I can't remember. 2 seconds. I have to look it up. Never come prepared for these things, it seems. What's her name?
Well, to be honest, we weren't going to ask that question of each other. So
I know, but it was just it was right. Shaylee Thompson, her name is SHAILEE Thompson, THOMPSON Thompson. Yeah,
Is she
Out of
Australian? Or
I don't know.
just saying her blurb or her author bio?
I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, Brisbane based. Yeah, Brisbane.
My daughter, well, she's not my daughter-in-law. They're not married, but they've been together for almost 5 years. So, practically daughter-in-law. She loves horror. I think she'd really enjoy that.
Yeah, Brisbane, lady. Yeah. So originally published on 27th of January 2026. Anyway, so if you love rom-coms and slasher stuff, this is the story for you. It's so fun. And I'm reading that before bed, and and I don't need to at least have the light on, so I'm okay with that one so far.
I'm going to continue on.
I can't watch or read horror after maybe 4 p.m. It's too close to bedtime.
Come on, this is my dog, Ashley, wanting some attention. Okay, we better get on. Otherwise, Diana's interview is going to be 2 hours long.
It's a lot of editing for you.
Selina. Diana, do you have a favourite author who inspires you?
Selina Chaplin. I just recently read Mark Aischleman's book. Is it called A New Dawn or something? I don't have it here. But he is a Perth writer, and I really, really enjoyed that book.
What kind of book was it?
It was a sort of modern fantasy. Yeah. Let me see. I think I've got my Kindle. Let me see.
Okay, yeah.
It's just waking up.
And he inspires you?
Yeah, it was just really inspiring, the story itself, the way he put it all together. And he's got a pretty strong presence on social media and stuff, so I think he's someone to watch. R.A. Sandpiper for social media presence and what she's putting out in the world. And I've read her 3 books. Well, I've read 3 of her 4 books that have come out, and they're really good.
Yeah. I feel like I might have an avalanche of to-be-read books yet, because I feel a bit overwhelmed. Sometimes I'm like, there's so many fantastic stories in this world, and I know how much effort goes into writing them. I want to do the writers justice by reading them, but it's just not enough time in my life to do all of that either. So got to be choosy, don't you?
Is there an author that you read that inspires you, Selina? Or a writer, poet, whatever?
I've actually been thinking a lot. Podcaster. Yes, Dianna Evans is my podcasting influence. For writers, I think I kind of am a bit old school. I really love Kelly Armstrong's Women of the Otherworld series with Dime Store magic and industrial magic in it. And she has witches and she has werewolves and all that sort of stuff in it. And a psychic who deals with the dead, and I really enjoy that. And she's been a really big influence. I love Louise Penny for the Inspector Gamache series because she writes a really great, snarky, entertaining group of people who get involved in murder mysteries. My other great influence is Charlene Harris with the Sookie Stackhouse and the Midnight Texas things. I just like the way they write, and they always suck me in.
There's another writer, Ali McCormack. I've actually had her on the show a few times, and she has a paranormal romance series. Started with 1 book, and now it's like almost 10 books that she's got out. Anytime one of her books comes out, I'm onto it. I just grab it straight away. Kevin Hearn, Kelcade and Kevin Hearn and Brandon Sanderson are my dream guests for my podcast.
Can you tell us about your upcoming Otherworldly Emergence speculative fiction novella series? What is it, and how many authors are a part of the group?
There are 12 authors, 13 novellas, and a reading journal. And it is all of the stories had to meet certain parameters between 30 and 45,000 words. I only wanted novellas because, like I said before, I wanted it to be a snippet of that genre for people to get a taste. And if they really like it, they can dive deeper elsewhere. There has to be some form of emergence. So by otherworldly, we're including things like aliens, vampires, werewolves, specters, ghosts, portal fantasies. So something that's not your average day-to-day human existence is being exposed to someone in the average world. So an emergence is vampires coming out of the coffin or werewolves getting caught on camera during mid-shift. One of the stories is actually about a dragon shifter, and the parents live over in Greece, and they actually live in a warren of tunnels and all that jazz where they're big enough to be in their dragon form. And I'm like, that's how they've kept quiet for all of these years. But the way they get caught out is the main protagonist falls in love with a human and just wants to share that part of himself with her. So the emergence itself is pretty much the whole part of that story. Another element within each of the stories is the Reapers. So they're all individual standalone novellas. They're not actually interlinked. They're interlinking in some aspects, but they are their own standalone. You don't have to buy the whole series. You can buy just one if that's what you choose. I didn't want to pressure people to have to buy 14 books. Of the Reaper elements, we have a letter from the Reaper at the start of every story. The story is released in a specific order. I've already given all the squires the order that the story is going to be released. So the Reaper letter is from one Reaper to two other Reapers in the series, and they have some form of an interaction where they're receiving their mission from their boss, which in some cases could be death. It could be death's handmaid. Who knows? So they receive this mission, and then they have an interaction with the other Reapers, and then they get into the actual story itself. At the very end, one of the things I really loved about the old fantasy novels that you used to buy, there was always a letter from the author, and you could always hear about what was their journey during the writing process. Were they in their office every day? Did they go into a cafe to do their writing? I really enjoyed that because it made me feel like I was a bit closer to the writer.
Mm-hmm.
So I've made sure that we've included that in our novella series as well. So we'll have the Reaper letter, the story, and then the letter from the author and the rest.
And when are they coming out?
They have a lot of moving parts in this series. I'm hoping for the 21st of August to release the series because that is my birthday.
Gotta write that down. 21st.
21st.
Yeah. So we're going to release it on my birthday. That's going to be the whole series, and then each book itself will come out like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, until they're all out. But we'll have the big series release on the Friday, which is the 21st of August. And it's going to be an online release because some of our squires are in America. Some of them are over east, like you. We've got some in WA. We've only actually got 4 out of the 12 that are American and the rest are Australian, which I'm very proud about. The next series, Otherworldly Origins, is going to be open for submission in July. So I'm hoping to get more Australians submit for that, but we'll see how we go.
And it's going to have a speculative fiction theme as well. So what are you looking for in those stories or for the writers to pitch for those stories?
Again, it'll be the same parameters as the emergence. So it'll be 30 to 45,000 words, and it'll be the original story of some otherworldly element reflected in today. So I still want this modern take on it, but I want the reflection of where it came from in the first place.
Yeah. Cool.
How people interpret that is up to them. I mean, speculative fiction is such a broad range of different types of stories, and I just really love that. I really like that, there's such a diversity. And another one of the reasons why I started this was because if you like fantasy and then you go onto social media and say you love dragons, you love fantasy, you never get to look at horror books. It doesn't show you horror books because it thinks that is the person you are. That's the box you're put in. So one of the amazing things about this series is I'm not letting you sit in a box. You get to see all of this diverse range of amazing writers and see what you like and go from there.
Yeah. How cool. Last couple of questions. Put you through the ringer today, Dianna. I'll ask this one. So you've got the memoir and creative non-fiction series that's called Australia Living in the 70s, which has been open for submission for people between the ages of 60 and 85 years old who have lived in Australia during the 70s. And I get that you are looking for people to write a realistic picture of that decade to find a generation, and I think it did. Can you tell us a little bit more about that project and how people can get involved?
To get involved, go to my website, bushlandcastleproductions.com, and there's a submissions page. I think the 70s are really fascinating. It was before the internet. It was latchkey kids. There was a different expectation of what you were as a parent. There was a different expectation of what work was, what the importance of being a career person was. I just think it's an era that will be forgotten if we don't capture it. So I want to get real life stories from Australians. Well, you don't have to be Australian to write the story, but you have to have been in Australia in the 70s to write within the series. We've got 4 that are currently on the go, and the 4 stories that we have are completely different experiences. One was up north, one was in Perth, one was over east. So just the different areas within Australia. It's fascinating. I really enjoy hearing about that sort of stuff. And again, because it's only a novella, it's short. You're not going to have to go too deep to read it.
Yeah.
One of the fascinating things about the 70s is women had only recently gotten the vote.
Mm.
There was a whole bunch of stuff happening around Indigenous rights, which had only just come through as well. And like you said, we were latchkey kids. I mean, Selina and I grew up, we were children in the 70s and the 80s, and I was certainly a latchkey kid. And I lived next door to a beautiful Aboriginal family, and the mum and I really connected, and she spoke quite openly about, she was part of the stolen generation, and that was just horrific. I think it might have been one of the things that maybe helped me decide I wanted to be a counsellor. But the 70s and the 80s is my favorite decade. I love the 80s. The 90s also has a soft spot for me. I haven't thought too much about the 70s, but you're right. Like, it was a huge turning point for Australia in particular, probably other countries as well. But so much struggle still happening for women, for First Nations peoples. The glass ceiling was still very much in play. It was illegal to be homosexual, like such a fascinating time, a frightening time as well.
And publishing it under one banner, so having the Bushland Castle Productions brand on these stories will keep them all together, like as a series itself. Because if you were to go out and publish one memoir about the 70s by yourself, it might very well go amazingly well. But if we publish a whole bunch of novellas about the 70s, it'll have more of an impact because they'll all be able to be marketed together, be pushed through together. I haven't got a coach for my Australia Living in the 70s people. So if you know any coaches that focus on memoirs, then I'm open to have discussions about that.
I know of an editor who is excellent, but doesn't do coaching. She's absolutely stellar when it comes to memoir stuff. But if I find somebody, I'll let you know.
Coaching is still fairly new, I think, in Australia. A lot of writers that I've met don't even really know what coaching is, and it's a shame, because if you go over to China, my mum goes to China regularly for her work, they get coaches for everything.
Yes,
they get cooking coaches, meditation coaches, writing coaches, everything. They have coaches for everything. It's amazing.
Well, I need to find some of those clients.
Yeah, I think writers still don't realize the amazing benefits that come with coaching, and I think that for a lot of writers, there's a little bit of ego in there as well, and sharing it and having someone help you shape it can be a little bit confronting on a bit of a personal level. And it's just one of those, it's like the mental health sector. There are so many misconceptions that we have to peck away at. And I think that, like you said, Dianna, it's relatively new for Australia. I think that writing coaches like Selina and a couple of others we know, Selina, probably still need to peck away at, it's actually not what you think it is. It's something beautiful and really empowering, and something that will excite you if you get involved with it. I love it. I love it. Selina and I don't get to do it often, but I love it when we do get to do it. I think that, like, a lot of coaches give good feedback, but their delivery is what shuts you down. And you said it at the beginning of the podcast. It's that whole thing. It's our heart and our soul on the page. It's important to us. Even if it's terrible, we've still taken time to write it and think it through and all the rest of that. And you just deliver it in such a beautiful, gentle way, which opens up your ears, kind of makes you more receptive to what you're receiving.
I think that it's because I had an experience where I had a coach who read mine and my stories and said, I didn't know why the character was doing what they were doing. There's no internal emotion on the page. This is boring, and I didn't want to read anymore. And when they said that to me, I have to admit, I was absolutely crushed because I'd spent years fluffing around with this thing. And they were supposed to be a coach. They were supposed to support me to develop my skills, not to crush me to the point where I went through anger. I went through extreme anger. I was like, how dare you say that to me? You know, you don't know what I've done to put in the work in there. And they might have been right. But I then had to step back and really think, what did they actually say there? What are they really meaning? Because if they're saying it's boring, it's more that it doesn't have the elements that it needs yet in order to be engaging for the reader. So what is that specifically? And if that coach was good at what they were doing, they would have said so, and they didn't. So anyway, I still obviously harbour some challenging feelings about that.
Well, a coach should lift you up. That's the whole point. They lift you up.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they do give you tough love. They do give you reality checks and all that sort of stuff. But yes, you should come away from a coaching session feeling like I can do this. I'm going to give it a go. And I may not get it right the first time, but this is a safe space with this person to be a better writer. This is a safe space. I think above all, it should be a safe space.
And I think since I've started working with you some time ago, since last July, when you first came on board, like you've changed and grown and developed along that way.
There's quite a few times when I think Jarryd described it recently with a similar situation where I'd split into two people. I'm the person who wanted to give and give and give, and the other one that said, no, I need to be paid for this because I've worked so hard to build these skills. And, you know, giving away coaching for free is not going to feed my body and my I need to bring money in.
Yeah, I like eating.
It's not all about the money. Yeah, it's not all about the money, but I do want to eat. I have a powerful, just to quote, visit the guy out of Serenity, I have a powerful need to eat sometime. I can't think of the character, but I know the guy. He's the one out of The Rookie. I can't think of his name.
Nathan Fillion is the actor.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. Anyway, we should wrap up soon. So where can people find you, Dianna, and Finding Alara and Bushland Castle Productions online?
My primary contact would be email, dianna@dealnix.com. But I also have Facebook and Instagram at Finding Alara. Go to bushlandcastleproductions.com and that has all of my contacts on there.
Beautiful.
There you go.
And people can follow you on Instagram, Facebook, and Discord, did you say? I don't understand Discord. Can you follow people on Discord?
You join the group in Discord. And TikTok, I'm muddling around on there. So if you want to see some very funny attempts, then by all means, have a look.
I just want to say again, thanks so much, Dianna. Like, it's been a fascinating conversation and your insights have been really interesting and I've really enjoyed it. It's been great.
And I have loved talking about everything that we've chatted about and your lovely, amazing patience. Thank you for being our first star guest.
Yeah.
Big hearts. Big hearts. People on the audio are like, I don't know what they're doing. We're drawing hearts with their hands.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Thanks for sharing a bit of your day or your night with us. And we hope that you've enjoyed the show.
We will see you again very soon. Please keep taking care of your mental health. Keep spinning those ideas into words or wonderful pieces of art and keep that sense of wonder alive.
And if you've enjoyed this episode, please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a review and tell all your friends about us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
That's it for us. Thanks again, Dianna. Stay well, everybody.
Bye.